Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, April the 6th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and look who's here. A familiar face. You know him. I've been doing Thursday shows on Pub Sports Radio with this man for years, betting with the bag, and you can check him out there Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Pub Sports Radio. I join him on Thursdays to talk a multitude of sports. This time of year, it's NHL, but we've been trying to get Jimmy on the show for a long time. We were just figuring what's the right date, what's the right fit. Jimmy chose today. He likes this card. He likes the way it sets up. So here we have my good friend, Jimmy the Bag, for the first time on the Ice Guys show. Jimmy, welcome in. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here to join you and Alex B. Smith, two cappers that I've followed and rocked with for 8 years. And I was telling Ian, I've got some nervous energy. It's a refreshing feeling. And Ian was like, "You've done shows for years," but yeah, he's right. It's excitement. But I'm excited.
You're taking that rookie lap around the ice before the game,
right?
I'm excited to be here. I am honored to be here, and I can't wait to cap this card with you and all these great cappers in the chat. And I know a bunch of them, so thank you guys so much for having me. And I can't wait to get to work.
No doubt. We're happy to have you. And yeah, he's the Jimmy Snuggerud of the Ice Guys show here. Around the ice here on the show. All right, we're going to zip through the recap. And I know that's difficult for me to do that in quick order, but we're going to try to here because we've got history potentially on the line in about 30 minutes with the Capitals and the Islanders to start the card. I think mostly what I'll go into here as far as the games from yesterday, we'll just touch on mostly the games where there was, significant results, I guess you could say, as far as the end result. We'll start with Montreal. I want to start with talking about them because their game yesterday was something else. The comeback against Philadelphia, Lane Hutson's goal was spectacular. There's a no-quit attitude in this team, and credit to Philly. Philly hadn't lost going into last night under Brad Shaw since the coaching change with Tortorella. And Philly battled, but Montreal, man, they are just finding a way right now, and they continue to further their chances of making the Stanley Cup playoffs with a huge comeback 3-2 win there against the Philadelphia Flyers. That was a result that stuck out to me. The Los Angeles Kings, I really wish I had bet LA for more. I mean, I sprinkled on them in regulation, but I wish I had gone bigger in that. It felt like a bigger game to LA. LA's, the team that's lost to Edmonton in the playoffs the last few years. No McDavid, no Draisaitl. And the Kings took care of business there. And it's a great bet. It continues to be in these Kings games, and Jonathan Davis deserves the credit. He's the one that pointed this out. Betting the opponent to not score in the first period continues to be a cash cow in LA games. They have very rarely given up a first period. What is it? Like 11 of 13 or something? That they have not given up a first period goal. And I jumped on that Edmonton team total under 0.5 in the first period at plus 102. And again, the Kings keep a clean sheet in the first period of that game. So that has been an excellent bet to take advantage of for sure. Ottawa, man, they continue to further their playoff hopes. 3-0. It's fade Florida for me, or pass with the Panthers. Paul Maurice has declared, we don't want to win we don't really care about winning the division. You see that they're without Barkov and Kachuk and Ekblad still. There's no doubt that it's still a Florida team that looks like they just want the playoffs to get here because they're playing like it right now. And now a Toronto winning last night against Columbus, and that was a professional performance by Toronto last night. That's the kind of performance, Alex, that makes me think, screw the 58 years of futility. This is a team that can win the Stanley Cup when they're playing like that, when they're dialed in. And yet I keep thinking in the back of my mind, but it is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Would you also be shocked if it's another early exit? But, man, when they look like that, boy, oh, boy, defensively, they just suffocated, choked off Columbus the whole game, shut out for Stolars, 5-0 there. How about those red-hot Buffalo Sabres? Nobody plays better when their season's over already than the Buffalo Sabres. And we're seeing that. Another win for them last night, 3-2 against Tampa. Glad I jumped on them at the plus price, especially when Johansson was confirmed in net for the Lightning. in that game, so that was good. Boston, how about Boston? Haven't won in a long, long time until last night against Carolina, 5-1. What a brutal back-to-back for the Canes. They didn't play well in Detroit. Brind'Amour wasn't happy, and they didn't play well last night, 5-1 either. Crushing loss for Calgary. They get a point, which is huge, but again, off the skate of Weegar, off the back of Wolf for the Vegas overtime game-winning goal. What a brutal, brutal break for Calgary there. Now, they do get a big point, and they're still very much alive. 4 back of Minnesota with a game in hand. They play the Wild on Friday night. But boy, oh boy, they could have used the 2 points in that game. Tough, tough loss. I had a piece of Calgary there. Very difficult to lose that one the way I did in overtime. Did have a piece of the draw, though, so that was good. But I was hoping to get the Flames as well. And I was very happy with the best bet on the show yesterday. It couldn't have been easier. Kraken Sharks, first period over. 2 teams not going anywhere. 2 teams playing for exercise. Didn't expect much defense in that game. And especially early, first period over, felt like a really good look there, and it came through for us. So good to cash that Kraken Sharks first period over. There you go. Rapid fire version of the recap. Alex, anything you want to point out from Saturday?
Yeah, we'll talk about with that Toronto game, and I loved that team total over. I'm kind of kicking myself. I didn't put more on that. You talk about put more on the Kings, but I just knew that Columbus was going to be out of gas. That just felt like that was going to be a spot. And as Toronto played on, it just seemed like Columbus just kind of wore down more and more, and it just seemed like they weren't going to generate much of anything. So that's a good win for Toronto, like you said. That's the kind of win you see from a team that could go in and make a mess in the playoffs and be dominant. But now, like you said, can they be the team to finally, this particular Leafs team, be the one to harness that and move that forward? Montreal, like I said, a gritty effort, come back, get the win. They look like a team that's ready for the playoffs. Oh, that's a kind of game. Now, granted, you weren't playing a playoff quality opponent in Philly where you had to give that kind of effort, but to be able to give that kind of effort, and especially when they've been playing a bunch of meaningful games already, to still have that kind of resiliency, that's huge for them. So, like, once again, it's good to see these teams building that momentum forward. And like you said with Calgary, it's important you got the point, but you definitely should have gotten the second point out of that. But what a convenient lineup this week. And you look at their games: San Jose at San Jose, at Anaheim, and then home against Minnesota this week. So, we always say that if you're going to be a good team, a playoff team, you got to beat the bad teams and beat the teams in front of you. Calgary still has that opportunity with the 3 games coming up this week.
No doubt. And of course, that head-to-head is going to be vital for them Friday night against the Minnesota Wild. And of course, they're also going to be cheering like hell for the Dallas Stars today, who take on the Minnesota Wild. Jimmy, recap of Saturday. Anything that stuck out to you from the Saturday card?
I want to say that the Sharps take a bath this time of year, which isn't true. I mean, the Sharps were on Utah, and Utah took care of business very easily. But the still all of us betting the Kings, despite the fishy line, despite the move to the Oilers, and us going, look, I don't care what the Sharps are saying on this. The Kings are going to take care of business in this game. And it took, I had to tell people, over and over again, don't worry about the market move. Don't worry about the fishy line. I felt like I had to push people to take the Kings. That felt good that the Kings took care of business. The Rangers are not a good hockey team, and it's going to hurt. I have their over 88.5 points. I have them plus 185 to make the playoffs. It's going to hurt me. Thankfully, Montreal plus 600 to make the playoffs is going to hopefully be a huge score that I need very badly, because I don't think I'm going to cash the Lightning to win the Atlantic anymore with the way you guys are, what we're seeing.
And Alex and I have the Blues to make the playoffs at I had plus 500 on that. Boy, that's beautiful. In great shape right now.
Beautiful. I can't wait to talk about the Montreal Canadiens game, because I want to bet them again. And I know Slatsy's in the chat. I want to bet them again, but I need to talk that one out before I have the confidence to do that. Florida, 40 shots on goal against Ottawa, out hit them 55-31, something like that, and lose 3-0. It's going to be fun capping Florida in today's spot, of course, without Barkov. Watching Pittsburgh beat Dallas, I heard you, Bobano, in my ear. I wasn't on Dallas, but I'm on them today. But I haven't bet them yet. But I plan on being on them today. I had you in my head because they're getting outplayed. They got outshot 39-24 to the Pittsburgh.
I don't know if it's a good thing if I'm ever in anyone's head, but continue.
39-24, they get outshot by the Pittsburgh Penguins. I knew not to be on them yesterday. I've been fading the Canucks every game. So last night caught up to me. I probably after a 5-0.
Yeah, I had Anaheim too, and I thought, hey, 1-0, here we go. Canucks flat. Seattle was the dream crusher game, and then next thing you know, they got 5 goals in 4 minutes or whatever the fuck it was. Good job, Anaheim. Really good job.
This is my favorite time of year when teams like the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals, with nothing to play for, we get great numbers fading them. Now, I didn't have Boston last night, but I've been fading Carolina at times and watching Boston win. I enjoyed very much. With the Montreal Canadiens, and I'd like to touch on it at some point. This isn't the best time, but live betting saves bad bets or bets that don't work out with a bad bounce or too early.
We know it.
I want to talk about this when the time's right, maybe later in the show. But I have the same system. If I have a favorite that's not like a -250, -300 favorite, and they go down 1-0, I immediately bet them. I got the Canadiens at +120. I only bet them once. I don't chase. I bet them one time only. And that was just a huge score for me, that +120, because I pushed the -1. So it helped me very, very much. The Blues train rolling. I love watching. I love seeing it. The Seattle, San Jose, I guess Seattle was a low-hanging fruit that I missed. I was on Seattle against Vancouver, of course. Yesterday's action was so much fun. This is the best time of year to make money in NHL, and I failed to do that yesterday. There's another live spot that I want to talk about later, and that's any over 6.5. When there's a low-scoring first period, let's say a 1-0 first period, it takes about 3 minutes of the second period to get to the 4.5. Yep. And I bet that at -170 every single time. And I know you could be sitting there going, that's a 63% implied probability. And I can prove to you that I'm hitting 85% on the over 4.5 on 6.5 when it goes to 4.5, over 85% this year. It's just unbelievable. And there's a couple other spots I want to talk about later. But the live betting saved my night last night. And I honestly was thinking this morning that I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be doing my show 4 days a week. I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for live betting NHL. Live betting NHL has saved my career. That's how important it is that you need to keep a bankroll ready for live action. And I can't wait to cap the card with you gentlemen today.
I don't doubt what you said about the 4.5 live total bets. Yeah. Because what we've been feasting on as a collective here and in our group chat is these scoreless first periods. I can't stress this enough. These scoreless first periods have been automatic. Second period over 1.5 have been cashing, and you can usually get 3.5 with juice with the full game total after a scoreless first period, and a lot of those have been hitting too. You still get at least 4 goals in the game. I can't say it enough how strong it's been. I mean, look at Minnesota and the Islanders on Friday night. I pounced on second period over 1.5, full game over 3.5. It was scoreless with Wild and Islanders after the first period. It ended 3-1 Islanders. But the second period over, it was like blink and it cashed. There's 3 goals, bam, right at the beginning of the second period. Just incredible stuff. And then
yesterday,
look at all the games. Look at Rangers Devils, scoreless first period, 0-0, got to 4 goals. What else? Kings and Oilers was 0-0 after the first period. Second period over cashed in that game. Tampa Buffalo, I really pounced on that one. I said, this is going to explode in the second period. Tampa Buffalo with scoreless first period. That had 3 goals in the second period and ended up having 5 for the game. I'm telling you, low scoring first periods, especially scoreless first periods. Second period over, full game over should be your target. It's been absolutely unbelievable results.
If we're going to touch on this, I can finish off my whole thing. The other angle that's just been phenomenal. I mean, beyond comprehension, saving and cashing is in this time of year, it's spectacular. It's the divisional rivals. It's 2-2 after 2 periods. They're both playing for the point. You get the under 6.5. It's always a 6.5, a -110 each side.
See that.
They're playing for the point. And even if one team scores, 80% to 90% of the time, it's 4-2 at the end because of the empty net goal. You still cash the under 6.5, but so often it's 2-2 going into overtime. These teams are playing for the point. And you will even see it like when the Rangers played the Wild and it got to 4-4. Even then, it's not as good as the 2-2. But even then, I live bet the under right away. These teams are going to play for the point now. They're tied. They're going to be passive. Those 3 live bets have completely saved my bankroll. They also you go 1-4 on the day. So I went 1-4 yesterday with the added a push. I cashed on the over 4.5 in Toronto Columbus. I cashed on the Habs money line, and I wake up pumped up. I'm capping my action pumped up. I'm not sitting there like pissed off. Oh, I lost. I'm still invigorated and excited about capping the card because of the live action. And it's so important to go into these games, into capping with a healthy mental attitude. If you start being defeatist when you cap, you will lose.
Great point. That's a very great point, especially this time of year where it can really
handicapping
bog
in a
down.
negative, emotional, sad, angry frame of mind is not going to be often producing the results you want. Yep.
And we got a game with puck drop in 12 minutes.
We are, and we're going to get to it right now. Yep, perfect timing, exactly. Washington Capitals, New York Rangers. Is history going to be made today? Is this the day the Great Eight breaks the Great One and his unbelievable record? I stole that from Joe B. Joe Beninati used that on Friday night with the call.
Still good line.
Yeah, it's still a good line, exactly. But we got the Capitals and the Islanders. Capitals minus 145, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I mean, obviously, there's going to be, for Washington, obviously we saw them beat Chicago on Friday in the game that Ovechkin tied Wayne Gretzky's record, of course. Ted Leonsis, the owner, is going to be there. Oshie and Backstrom, teammates of Alex Ovechkin for a very long time, are going to be there. I saw the picture of all of them in the private jet of the owner, Ted Leonsis, on their way to UBS Arena in this one for this game. And of course, you're going to see Wayne Gretzky in the house again. And this game is about 20 minutes away. I'm staying far away from a side in this game because Capitals are the better team. They're obviously going to play to try to get OV the record today. I don't think they're going to try to say, you know what, let's not try to get him the record today and let's save it for home. No, you get the record when it's there. When he's got a chance to get a goal, you don't leave it up to chance. If he's got the opportunity to get the goal today, you take it. That is for sure. But at the same point in time, while the Capitals are a team that, they're the better team, the Islanders, this is a game that they need, like oxygen to breathe, like a human being needs oxygen to breathe. So you've got to expect the Islanders to empty the tank here. I don't expect them to make the playoffs. Let's get that right on the table. But, they're not mathematically eliminated yet. And you would expect a terrific effort from them. And at least that win against the Minnesota Wild Friday night at least gets a little positive vibes back into the dressing room, because that was an ugly losing streak that looked like that was about to sink them. And they get that big 3-1 win against Minnesota. That was significant. So I'm staying away from sides here. It's an over by Fecta spot, though, for sure, in my opinion. We talked about how amazing Washington first period overs have been. What is the run now? 21-4. 21-4 to the first period over for this Capitals team in their last 25 games. It's been a remarkable streak. And I would expect the energy to be high early. So this is one where I'm on the 1.5, and I shouldn't say 5.5. I've got that wrong on the screen. It's 6, the total here in this game, shaded to the over in this one. But I'm on both, over 1.5, over 6. I have more money personally on the first period over here, because I think early in the game, let's try to get the record, try to get it over with probably as quickly as possible. And by the way, a nice little nugget of information that's worth mentioning here. One of the few goalies that Alex Ovechkin has not scored on in his career is Ilya Sorokin. I don't doubt for a second he doesn't know that. I'm sure he does, and I'm sure it would be another feather in the cap for Alex Ovechkin to maybe get that record-breaking goal against his fellow countryman and a guy that he's never scored on before in his career. So for me, it's a first period over primarily, a little smaller on the full game over in this game. And I'm going to do the Ovechkin first goal. I don't like the price for the anytime goal. Sure, he could score today, but you're laying a price. I don't love the value. First goal has better value. You can get plus 750 at FanDuel with Alex Ovechkin to get the first goal of the game, which is something he did against Chicago. Obviously, on Friday night, he got the first goal of that game. So I'm going to dabble in that. Ovechkin first goal, plus 750. Alex, what do you think here? Capitals, Islanders.
There's been 182 different goaltenders that Ovechkin scored on. If he gets goal today, it'll be 183 in total, which is just an incredible number. That's an NHL record. And, this is a game where I think for the Caps, the sooner that Ovechkin can get this record, they get this over with, the sooner they can kind of officially close the book on the regular season. We're talking about they really don't have much to play for unless they want to get the President's Trophy. The Metro Division is going to be wrapped up in a matter of days. This is really kind of their opus goal until the playoffs begin. And that's why I don't want to touch a side until this record is broken, because the game's going to be all kind of chaos. We know if it's a goal early, which I do like. I did bet Obi first goal, and I was able to grab -125 the Obi anytime goal. So I thought that was a fair enough price. Anything at 140 or higher, I would stay off of. But this is a game we know if he scores, there's going to be a big stoppage, just like it was the other night. Probably a longer stoppage. They're going to have to, you might have to address the crowd. I don't know what all the protocol will be for him getting a record, but it's going to be a long delay. And so that's not going to be we already have an earlier start time, which the Caps are used to. Isles, they don't play as many games as early. Maybe things that could be a little bit discombobulated. This is one where we're watching it live. We got it on. I'll be betting the first period over in game, and I'll be looking for anything else to add in game as well, because like I said, the flow of the game could be disrupted if Ovechkin scores today, and then that's where things may get a little dicey, a little hard to read. But definitely liking goals early, so I will be on that first period over, but I'm seeing -140. I think we can wait a couple minutes into the contest and grab a little bit better upper number.
There we go. Good stuff. Jimmy, how are you approaching it? And by the way, I want to mention one last thing before I throw it to Jimmy. If you like the Islanders in this game, Jonathan Davis has mentioned this, and I've noticed it too. I want to bring up how many goals the Capitals have allowed in their last 7 games. Yeah, 7 games. 3, 3, 4, 8, 3, 5, 3. Why is that significant? Because the team total for the Islanders is 2.5. That might be a way to approach it. Capitals are leaky right now a little bit defensively. You can see they're not buttoned up the way they need to be come Stanley Cup playoff time. Jimmy, what do you think here, Caps Islanders?
I think this is a phenomenal opportunity to make money to start the day. I'm on the New York Islanders money line. If the Capitals get out to a lead, if Ovechkin scores that first goal, I'm going to live bet the Islanders immediately and quickly. This line was moving towards the Islanders since the line opened. I guess not to some extent. There was this huge move to the Islanders earlier today. In the last 45 minutes, there's been a 10-cent move back to the Capitals, which basically just brings it back to the opening line. For me, the most Tom Wilson and Alexei Protas are monsters, and they're going to be so good in the playoffs. And now Protas
is out, of course, injured today
with a foot injury. Yeah, and he's going to miss the rest of the regular season. There's even some concern that he'll miss a game or two into the playoffs. And he's been a revelation this year. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he reminds me a little bit
season, 100%. Yeah,
he reminds me a little bit of Bertuzzi in his prime at times when he's going to the net, with that speed and that size, and he's been so good. So it's hard to say here that the Capitals have nothing to play for with Ovechkin tied for one of the most cherished records in our sport, but they have nothing to play for. They have no Protas. As you mentioned, the last 7 games, I'll tell you, the last 5 games they've allowed 23 goals. The Islanders snapped their 6-game losing streak with that 3-1 win at home over Minnesota. Duclair went home. We've seen what happened when Elias Pettersson went home. When the guy who doesn't want to play and doesn't want to fight for you goes home, you're better. You're better for it. So Duclair, and that's going to be around their neck, just a weight around their neck. He's got the no trade clause next year, and this is year 1 of the 4-year contract. This concludes a 3-game homestand for the Islanders. I think the Islanders are in an absolutely great spot, a great spot. I'm on them. I got plus 125. I was waiting I really wanted to see what the market would do, and I thought there would be a push on the Capitals at some point, and I guess I waited a little bit too long, but I'm ready to live bet this, especially if Ovi gets the first goal. They're just going to relax. They're just going to relax. Their shoulders will relax. The Capitals are just going to relax. And the Islanders still think they can make the playoffs, and Patrick Waugh is burning lasers through their backs when he's staring at them. He's such an intense guy. I think this is the perfect opportunity to back the Islanders. Then I should probably move on the team total over 2.5 that you said, but man, I should bet that right now. So I think that I will bet that right this minute. If that fits my plan for this game, and so I'm going to bet that right now.
Yeah, and I put it in the chat too. I grabbed Islanders team total over 1.5 combined with Ovechkin anytime goal plus 115 at Bet Online. So
that's pretty good, actually. That really makes sense.
Yeah,
this is a must win for Islanders for sure.
Right, and just need 2 goals from them rather than 3. So
my approach is, I don't like the price enough pregame with the Islanders, but if Washington, as I think they might, scores the first goal, then I do get a little interested in the Islanders. Especially, I'm absolutely taking the Islanders if that first goal is Ovechkin, because then the emotional hangover, and he's going to get his, skate around the ice for the big moment when he breaks Wayne Gretzky's record, and the team is going to go nuts for it, and it's human nature. You're going to have just an emotional fall off after a moment like that. Here's where the Islanders capitalize. No pun intended.
Here's your live betting circle. If Ovechkin gets this goal first or second period, bet Islanders to score the next goal is right after.
Yeah, the next goal.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
The Islanders are too expensive for the
By the
team.
way, he's the next goal live betting king, Alex. He's been doing it for years with great success. Just watch our betcast. You'll know that.
I think it's too expensive for me. I would have to take the Islanders team total over 3.
Yeah.
And then the push. And then do I want the 4? No, I would rather keep that unit for a live bet. So I'm not going to move on the team total over 2.5. You know what it's gone up to? Over 365, minus 155. I know I could find a better line, if I shopped around, but I can't. I love the idea for the team total over 2.5. It's just a little too expensive for me to bet, so I'm not moving on it.
Funny inside media story about this game, which is by the way, this is the first of a TNT triple header. That's right, triple header hockey for TNT today, coast to coast in the States. They've got this game, they've got Dallas and Minnesota, and then Florida, Detroit right after that. Initially, their lead crew was going to get the day off. Their lead broadcast team was going to get the day off. But because now this game could be history for Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals, that TNT earlier this week made the change, and they assigned Kenny Edzo and Bush to this game between the Capitals and Islanders because it could be history, because they were originally not going to do any of the games today for TNT. But that has changed clearly with what potentially could unfold there in that game. And yes, it's Lindgren and Sorokin, the goaltending matchup, by the way, in that Capitals-Islanders game. All right, next up, the second game of the afternoon triple header on TNT. It's Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas minus 150 road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this one, shaded a little bit to the under. Dallas, we know that the run of play has been against them lately. They've been outshot, outchanced. It looks like the other team's been kind of carrying the play lately against them. But because they're so damn skilled and talented and loaded up front on all 4 lines, all 12 forwards, they don't need many chances or many shots to score goals, Dallas. And they were obviously able to still win those games despite getting outshot in recent games. It finally caught up to them yesterday. They got outshot. They got outchanced. At times they got outworked by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Casey DeSmith really did the best he could at keeping them in the game. But unfortunately, what a crazy way for Pittsburgh to score the game-winning goal. Thomas Harley and Cody Ceci collide. They just, run into one another. And then, of course, as the defense is scrambling at that point, Blake Lizotte rips it past DeSmith. That ended up being the game-winning goal. And then they added an empty netter. Sidney Crosby was just outstanding in that game. And look, credit to Pittsburgh. Nobody likes being embarrassed. And Dallas went into Pittsburgh earlier this year and absolutely embarrassed Pittsburgh. It was 7-1 or something like that. It was just a shellacking, and Pittsburgh was really bad at that time. I think the Penguins remembered that because they sure as hell played like it from an effort standpoint yesterday against Dallas. But now Dallas is a team that's not happy coming into Minnesota. Here's the thing. I talked about Capitals-Islanders. Capitals are better than the Islanders in this game, and they're a road favorite. In this game, Stars are better than the Wild, and they're a road favorite. But I don't like laying a price into a desperate, motivated team. That's why I'm not on the Capitals today. And that's why I'm not on the Dallas Stars today either. But I'll tell you this right now. I sure as fuck don't trust the Minnesota Wild. Not what I'm seeing right now from them. The noose is getting a little bit tighter. Calgary's only 4 points back. They're not playing great hockey. They're finally Minnesota. It took forever. But finally, maybe this team misses Eric Sinek and Kaprizov just a little bit. Maybe finally we're starting to see that this is now the team we kind of expected to see without 2 of their best players. And they're without a doubt 2 of their best players, 2 of their best forwards, Eric Sinek and Kaprizov. And it's finally starting to catch up to them a little bit. One thing I want to point out to the people that may like Dallas in this game, talk about back-to-back spots. And obviously Minnesota played Friday. So they have the rest advantage. Boston was at home to Pittsburgh, or Dallas rather, was at home to Pittsburgh yesterday. But Dallas has one of the better back-to-back records in the NHL this year. 8-2, the Dallas Stars on the second of back-to-back games this year. So they've won 8 out of 10 times they've been on a back-to-back. I would take Dallas before Minnesota, personally, in this game. Maybe I get in live because that's been my approach lately. Why lay minus 150? Maybe Minnesota's going to have a lead at one point. We'll get a better price on Dallas at that time. That's certainly something I'll be looking at. The only pregame bet for me here is the draw. I think it is a very good draw candidate. You've got Minnesota playing tight games. Dallas hasn't exactly separated from a lot of their recent opponents. They've played a lot of close games too. So, and Minnesota, every point for them to try to put the distance between them and Calgary is significant. So a little bit on the draw for me pregame. That's about it. Maybe target Dallas live if they fall behind. So that's my approach here. Alex, what do you think here? Stars, Wild.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the draw here in this spot. I think this actually sets up for a Dallas win in regulation. You've got a Minnesota team. Yes, they are desperate. They need the points, but you look at their form. Haven't been playing that well, and now coming home off of a long road trip, an unsuccessful road trip at that. But you get a Dallas team who was running hot and then blew that game yesterday. Home game, national TV spot, and to lose to Pittsburgh. So I think they come out feisty and angry, and I think they get some goals early and often. Aaron in the chat pointed out Dallas 7-0-1 to the first period puck line the last 8 against the Wild. You can grab that plus 162, laying the half goal at Caesars. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to go even money with Dallas in regulation plus 100 available at FanDuel.
That's a great stat, Aaron. Phenomenal stuff. Aaron's always got some good info a lot of the times and stats. He's on a lot of our betcasts as well. 7-0-1, the last 8 for Dallas, first period puck line over the Minnesota Wild. And by the way, we were talking about how great the second period overs were, right, for the scoreless first periods. Jonathan, as always, has the stats right in front of him. This week alone, second period over 1.5 after scoreless first periods, 9-1. There you go, 90%. 9-1. It's been just spectacular, no doubt. Jimmy, what are you doing here with Dallas, Minnesota?
I really wanted to talk this game out. Obviously, I have trepidation with Dallas Stars, or I would tell you I'm already on it. This line, it's clear that the Sharps think the Wild are very live here with the rest advantage. Again, I don't care this time of year. The Stars are 4 points back of the Jets with a game in hand. But they're being outplayed for vast stretches of games, and their skill set is so elite that they seem to be able to withstand that. Of course, we know Lundqvist done for the season. Their young defenseman Heiskanen, they hope is back for the second round playoffs. He may not be. Seguin coming back for the playoffs. Jamie Benn, he's missed 2 straight games for maintenance reasons. He's not expected to play today. That's important. It's an important loss of toughness. They have toughness with Marchment as well.
He's about to become a dad again. That's why he's away, but they don't know when his wife's going to give birth, but that's why he's away.
Oh, okay. Because, they were calling it maintenance on CBS, NHL injury report. So he's not going to be in. So that's
family
a loss.
Maintenance. Yeah, family maintenance. Yeah.
Family maintenance. So it's a loss. It's a but this team has enormous amount of depth and size, and I think they can withstand that. The angle, of course, is the debacle from yesterday. 7-game winning streak snapped. Eriksson Ek and Kaprizov are such huge losses. I mean, they're just such monstrous losses, and especially Eriksson Ek, big, tall centerman who can kill penalties, win faceoffs, and now is over the last couple of years has become a scorer. Can score, has got soft hands, has learned how to put the puck in the net. So, this is a Wild team that's not very good. And Jake Middleton also got hurt, upper body injury. So we'll see if he will be in. If not, there'll be Declan Chisholm will replace him. But I want Dallas here. And I was hoping that after talking with you guys, I would have the conviction to pull the trigger. I'm a -1 bettor rather than the regulation bettor because I'm a fan. And when it gets to overtime, I still want to be able to get my cash back. It's just part of being a fan. Like, I love it. I
prefer the -1 puck line than the regulation. Yes. It's always personal preference with that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want the Stars and hearing Alex on the Stars in regulation, I think I have enough. Ottinger will be in net here. I think the Wild are just a fade. They're just playing poor hockey. The problem though is the Wild do need to win. The Flames are now 4 points back with a game in hand. That's getting close. It's getting tight. So again, I'm going to sit with it as we go through. I would like to be on the Stars -1, and I'm still kind of on the fence. I can understand the under 5.5 for AM on the -118. I don't want to go there because I don't think the Stars are locked in defensively the way that we expect them to become playoff time. Although I get it, though. I completely get
They're giving up a lot of shots, but great goaltending has really helped them. Ottinger and DeSmith have had a really strong stretch, both of them. Yep.
And the Wild have still struggled with offense consistency.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to get to the -1, but I'm not going to hem and haw here in front of you guys. So I think I get to the Stars, I think, at this point. And I'll let you guys know by the end of the show.
There you go. Good stuff. No, it's always sometimes there's some games that, hey, you got to really think them through. And it takes some time to really say, I'm totally convinced this is the right bet or this is the right move to make. And that's what you get sometimes. There's no doubt. For me, as far as props in this game, anything and everything Matt Duchene. This guy's rolling. He's on a 5-game point streak. So whether it's a goal prop or an assist prop with Matt Duchene, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And he's really picked up the slack because at times, like the Robertson, Hintz, and Rantanen, that line gets kind of shut down. You've got a guy like Duchene that can step up. And Marchment on that line has also been pretty good of late as well for the Dallas Stars. And I think with Thomas Harley, this is just a gut feel. He collided with Ceci. It led to the game-winning goal. It was an unfortunate accident mistake, and he slammed his stick against the net when the puck went in, and that was the goal that made it 4-3, gave Pittsburgh the win. Watch Thomas Harley show up and make a difference today. He's a good young defenseman. I know it was a tough moment for him, but I think he's going to bounce back and have a nice game today. So goal and an assist prop for Harley. I think I'm going to look in that direction for sure as well, as far as that's concerned. Yeah, Marchment with 3 goals against Minnesota, says Jonathan as well. So he's had good success finding the back of the net against them. Ottinger and Gustafsson. What's trouble in you, Gus? We don't know if it's going to be Philip Gustafsson yet in net, but it is projected as of now. All right, Columbus and Ottawa. Wow. This game gave me a headache, and I'll explain why in a minute. Ottawa -145, home favorite, 6 the total. Columbus is 1-9 on a back-to-back this year. Brutal. Terrible record for them on a back-to-back this year. They're fading in a bad way. Colorado just drilled them. Merzlikins was awful on some of those goals, and he was awful on some of the goals last night in that game against Toronto. You see some of those. Close the 5-hole, man. Put the fucking wickets together. I mean, he has given up that kind of a goal way too often lately. Merzlikins. And look, their defense has been kind of unglued the last couple games as well, Columbus. But boy, the goaltending has really hurt them, especially from Merzlikins these last couple games. We'll see how this one goes between the Jackets and the Senators. The way I see it, I feel that, and this is supposed to be a system play. Remember the system play? Yes, the forgotten system play. Forgotten because it's completely gone downhill from the Four Nations break on. I mean, I remember out doing Thursday shows with Jimmy, talking NHL, and before the Four Nations break, every friggin' time that a team was shut out in their previous game, I was on the system play, over first period, over full game, before the Four Nations break. It was always on my card, but that angle has really gone ice cold following the Four Nations break. This might be the day to maybe look into it, though, because Columbus is off the shutout, 5-0. I know Ottawa's played some lower scoring, better defensive hockey, and they showed it yesterday, shutting out Florida 3-0 in that game. And I thought it was a great bet on Ottawa, team total and money line yesterday, because I've been fading Florida the last few games. Columbus is still alive. They're not mathematically out yet, just like with the Islanders. They're not mathematically out yet, but until they are, I expect some kind of effort. The question is just going to be, will they be good enough? Here's my problem with Ottawa. Right now, they're a tough team to bet against. They're playing well. They're winning games. They're at home. No travel. But this is the 6th game in 9 days for the Ottawa Senators. That's an insane schedule. Insane. And you worry that at some point it does catch up to them. It's not much better, though, for Columbus. This is their 6th game in 10 days. And they're the team traveling from Toronto to Ottawa for this game on a back-to-back. A back-to-back in which they're 1-9. This year on a back-to-back Columbus. So this is a very tricky game from a side perspective. I just went ahead with over 1.5 over was it 6 right now with the full game total? Yeah, but it's 5. I was going to say, I thought I got 5.5 on. Yes, I did, because I bet it at DraftKings, which is often hanging that 5.5 at -130. So I did the over by Fecta here with Jackets and Sens. I know they saved Allmark for this game, the better goalie. They gave Anton Forsberg the start, but Anton Forsberg was really good yesterday against Florida. We have to give him credit for that shutout. Allmark was terrific in taking all our money. I know for a fact we were all on Tampa Bay against Ottawa earlier this week, and Allmark was the difference. He was just magnificent in that game. So it does concern me to be on overs with him in net, but I think it's a sloppy game. When you play 6-9 for Ottawa, 6-10 for Columbus, I just got to think physical and mental mistakes creep into the game when you played that kind of shit ton of hockey in such a short period of time. So I will dabble in the over by Fecta. This is a tough side for me because, Ottawa, I don't want to lay a price with them in this spot, but I don't know if I trust Columbus enough to take them. Alex, what do you think here? Columbus, Ottawa.
Yeah, this is a spot where I'd maybe lay a little bit on or place a little bit on Ottawa team total over 3.5. I'm seeing plus 114 at FanDuel, plus 105 as DraftKings. Shop around for that. But I just, like I said, I believe Columbus is running out of gas. Now, yes, they're still alive, but they're on life support. They've got tubes hanging out everywhere, and it looks like the end of the road. Ottawa needs a few more points to go in and finally clinch a playoff spot right now at 88 points. I think they're looking kind of at this.
You see the finish line for making the playoffs.
Let's finally get it. And here's the thing: this is a team where if they can go in and clinch their spot, they know their place. This is definitely a team where I would look for them to slam on the brakes the last 2-3 games of the year and not really do much until game 1 of round 1. So I do like Ottawa in the spot today, but I'm going to go team total over, and I'm going to look for the over by Fecta in game. That 5.5 at 130 means with DraftKings, you wait a couple minutes in the game, try and grab $1.10 or even plus money, and then that 1.5 minus 125, try and get that a little bit closer to plus money as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So like I said, and they don't look like a team that's got much gas left in the tank. That's definitely true. But at the same point in time for Ottawa, and I think they're playing well and they sense that they're close, and I expect effort. But 6 games in 9 days is a crazy schedule. And I worry that adds up for them a little bit. And the one thing about playing Florida is they lean on you physically. Does that wear you out a little bit too? It's just a fascinating. And again, it's still a team that's battling for their playoff lives. Has to have it type of situation here for Columbus. And at this time of year, as I talked about with the Washington game and the Dallas game, I don't love laying with the favorite against a desperate team. Maybe as an underdog, I'll take a shot against a desperate team, but laying a price as a favorite against a desperate, motivated team, it's difficult for me to make that move, which is why for me it's difficult to take Ottawa here, even though we know they're the team in better form right now. Jimmy, what do you think here? Jackets, Sens.
I am quite heavily on the other side of many of you guys in the chat. I think this is one of the best money-making opportunities.
Oh, so for Columbus, you really like Columbus. Wow.
I am on the Columbus Blue Jackets first period at plus 125. I think they come out guns a-blazing. This is as healthy as they've been all season long. They were just embarrassed in what people around here believe is the center of the hockey universe, embarrassed on Hockey Night in Canada, a complete no-show, and now they play in Ottawa for their playoff lives. And yes, we can say Ottawa has some concern, I guess, of the I don't think they care really whether they're in the first or second wildcard spot, honestly. I think that the best spot to be is in the second wild card spot and to play the Capitals in the first round. So I don't think they care at all about this. And this is everything to the Blue Jackets that are finally healthy. And yes, they haven't found the chemistry with all of this health. There's been this enormous move to the under. I thought about the over last night at 6.5, and I thought about it. This move to the under is huge. This is as big of a move to under as you'll see. This 6.5. So it opened up at 6, but this 6.5, I thought was going to be a minus 110 when I woke up. And then that was the exact opposite. But it didn't really happen until this morning. This morning around 10:18, we get to a 6. Now that 6 was minus 115 to the under offshore a little bit ago. Now it's minus 111, a little bit of buyback. So I don't think I timed everything right here. I think I messed up a little bit because the market's moving slightly back to the Senators right now. I know that we have Tarasov in net. But look, I don't want to see Merzlikins in net unless it's a shootout. Like, he's just terrible. He's just bad unless it's a shootout. He's a very competitive guy. I think these are phenomenal implied probabilities. And I got a bad line on the team total too for the Jackets, but I got the over 3 at +117. You could get a better one right now, especially with the total dropping.
Yep.
I got the Blue Jackets first period at +125. And, I'm not on them full game. And maybe I should be, but I thought that the smarter thing to do there, if I was already on the first period, was to bet the team total. Something I don't do enough, and something I watch Bobano cash on constantly in situations just like this. The Sens were just outshot 40-22 and out hit 55-31. And Anton Forsberg stood on his head.
Yeah.
Yes, Yulmark was excellent in the last time these teams met, a little over a week ago. Yes, Yulmark
was great against Tampa. Yeah.
Yes, and also he had the freak out in practice. Anytime a goaltender does that, has a freak out in practice, comes back and cleans it up, he always plays well. If I hadn't known about the freak out in practice, I would have been on the Lightning team total under. I just didn't know about it until too late. And now Yulmark just watched Forsberg stand on his head. I think it might be a tricky spot for him, watching his colleague just save 40 shots in the shutout. Everything on the line for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Everything on the line for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I understand this is not a popular pick here in the chat. I think this is possibly, and we'll figure it out. But I think that, and I know that the Sabres, a lot of us are really high on today. But I think this Senators team total over 3 is quite possibly the very best bet on the entire board. So,
the Jackets, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. The Columbus Blue Jackets team total over 3. Thank you. +117, I think, is possibly the very best bet on the board. The Blue Jackets first period, I love. The Blue Jackets are going to be shot out of a gun. They're going to be shot out of a cannon to start this game.
They're going to be shot out of their cannon at the beginning of the game.
There you go. Evason was losing his mind last night. He was so angry. This team is going to come out guns a-blazing. They're going to be, I don't know if they're going to score in the first 10 minutes, but I'm telling you the shots are going to be 7-1 or 7-2 Jackets.
They should be pointing the finger at Elvis Merzlikins, Jonathan. Lots of finger pointing apparently during and after the game last night, and Aaron Portzline's right on top of it. He's one of the better reporters out there for team reporters. Yeah. It was apparently a rough scene in the Jackets dressing room. So does that splinter them?
No.
Or does that bring them together here?
They care.
Yeah.
They care so much. This team cares. You watch Boone Jenner out there. I mean, this guy cares so much. This team has been way more than the sum of their parts all year until they got healthy.
Yeah.
So, look, am I trying to catch a falling knife? You could be sitting there going, Jimmy's trying to catch a falling knife. He's not going to be able to catch it. And that's a valid argument for what I'm doing here. I think
it's gutsy because you're right. There's nothing that indicates the last 2 games Columbus has anything left mentally and physically, but
look, Katona saying Blue Jackets are just counting their days till the season's over. I said yesterday on the chat, Jackets analysts say they're emotionally drained and they got hammered by the Leafs. Yes.
And it has been an emotionally draining season for them, obviously.
Yes.
That was without saying. Up 1-0 Islanders. We got a goal.
There we go.
Good for the first period over. Give me one more now.
Yeah.
And Energize said Sens are going to smoke these guys. I'm telling you, I disagree vehemently. And we'll see what happens. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong, as all of us are. I disagree vehemently. This team is going to come out as fired up as you've ever seen them. Boone Jenner's a hell of a captain. They got leadership. They got Kent Johnson's playing so well.
I agree with you. He's a good captain, Jenner. I like Jenner.
Oh, I'm telling you. And you guys, this is part of the fun. We're not yes man. We don't sit here and agree with each other. This is, I think the Blue Jackets. I
always say there's no betting markets, and everyone agreed, and everyone bet the same side. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
The Blue Jackets team total over 3 is I think the best bet on the board, and we'll see as we go through for best bets. But I doubled up on this game. I've invested heavily in this game. Blue Jackets first period +125. Blue Jackets team total over 3 +117.
We'll circle back to this game if Jimmy's on the show, which I'm sure he will be again the next time, because the people saying, you're burning your money, Jimmy, taking the Jackets. We'll see. We'll see today. I'm not on Ottawa either. I want to make that crystal clear. I'm not on Ottawa here either, because this 6 games in 9 days is a brutal spot. In my opinion.
That's the only thing that's keeping me away from actually betting Ottawa money line in some fashion. That's a lot of hockey and a lot of important, meaningful hockey. Like I said, they've been in the spot that Columbus is in right now. Like these are wild card running teams for the last 6 weeks, basically. So, like I said, it could be a spot where it catches up to Ottawa. But like I said, when you look at the back-to-back records for these 2 teams as well. Ottawa with 7-4-1 on their back-to-backs, where Columbus 1-9. that also weighs a lot. That means that these are two teams where they've played in these situations multiple times throughout the year. Ottawa has been able to find enough energy to get a win in that second night. Columbus, not so much.
Yeah. That's something to keep in mind for sure. Bo Horvat, yes, he's the one that got that Islanders 1-0 goal. So there we go. We're still just 9 minutes into that first period. My bargain bin special of the night comes from this game, by the way. So we will save it for the bargain bin special of the night. But there's a prop I like very much in this game. I'll just wait to make note of it until then. Next up, we've got the last of the afternoon affairs, and it's also the last and third of the TNT doubleheader, or triple header, rather. Between these last of the TNT triple header this afternoon. Florida and Detroit. Florida minus 125, road favorites, 5.5 the total. I'm just distracted because the Islanders just made it 2-0. There's our first period
over.
Which is what I had. That's the bet I had in this game primarily.
I grabbed it
a
live.
full game over piece as well. I didn't bet the side. I said I would bet the Islanders if they fell behind, but that's not going to happen now. But Jimmy's off to a great start with the Islanders as well.
My first Ice Guys bet, Islanders plus 125.
Being on here probably. Yeah, hopefully. That's what we hope for. We don't want you to come on here and lose. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. Florida minus 125, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Look, Ottawa and money line and team total yesterday. For me here, Detroit money line and team total. I mean, Florida has declared their stance. The division's not of consequence to them. Paul Maurice said, yeah, do we want to win it? Yeah, but, the long-term goal is winning another Stanley Cup. And they're kind of playing like it right now. They've got still injuries galore. Kulikov and Ekblad on the blue line. Well, not injuries with Ekblad, obviously suspension, but absences on the blue line. Ekblad and Kulikov. Kachuk's still out. Barkov is still out. He's not coming back this weekend either. So we've got all kinds of situations here where Florida's not a team I'm laying a price with right now. It's just that simple. And we've seen teams that have the motivation on their side beat the Florida Panthers lately, like Montreal did, not once but twice in a row, like Toronto did on Wednesday night. And obviously Panthers lost, to Ottawa yesterday by that score. Now they did outshoot Ottawa, no question. But shots don't matter. Scoreboard. That's all I'll say. Scoreboard. That matters. So, yeah, they had 40 shots. They lost the game. And they're not scoring right now, the Florida Panthers either. Detroit, look, they beat I don't know how impressive it is because Carolina, we talked about that's a pretty good win for Detroit beating Carolina Friday night. And then Carolina shits the bed and gets shut out somehow on a back-to-back by the Boston Bruins. 5-0 last night. So, but for me, I'm on Detroit. Plus 105, team total over 2.5. It's just fade Florida. I don't think they're that interested in these meandering remaining games. Not to mention they're third in the Atlantic now. They're probably not catching Toronto. Toronto is 6 points up for the Atlantic Division. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, Florida's not a team I'm interested in right now. It's Detroit for me here, splitting the money line and team total in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Panthers, Red Wings.
This is one I can wait for live because it seems like Detroit obviously should be way more interested than Florida. But like I said, the Panthers are one of those teams where, if they hop out and just get a goal or two early, they're a team where they just competition kind of, I guess.
Oh, they didn't get shut out. Yeah, 5-1. Carolina got, Justin Robidaugh got his first NHL goal in the final minute for Carolina last night. Yeah. So they didn't get shut out.
Yeah, so Florida's a team where I can see them, even if they feel like they might be coasting, but they get a goal, they get a fight, they get a scrum, all of a sudden the competitive juices start flowing, they get that energy, and we know they're simply a better team than Detroit. So this is one I want to wait for live. It would not shock me one bit if we see Detroit jump out early, but then if Florida said punch them in the mouth, they kind of respond and wake up. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at this. Maybe look for Detroit the score first, and then kind of just play live from there.
No doubt. As far as props go, I do want to mention him because he's been great. And he was my bargain bin special on Friday night against Carolina, and he scored in the first period. This was my number 2 choice to be bargain bin special. It's not going to be. It's going to be from that Ottawa game, but I'm back on the train with Marco Kasper the friendly betting ghost. Marco Kasper. Again, great price, plus 410, upwards of plus 400 to score a goal. He's been great. He's obviously had a very solid offensive season. He scored in 4 of the last 10 games for Detroit, but coming off scoring the goal against Carolina on Friday night. So I do think that's a very live goal prop. Marco Kasper for Detroit north of plus 400 here in this game. Plus, another thing that factored into wanting to fade Florida again is Vitek Vanacek. I don't like that guy. I don't think he's that good. And obviously Bobrovsky started yesterday against Ottawa, and it's going to be Vanacek here on the back-to-back, most likely for Florida. Hasn't been confirmed, but I fully expect a Vanacek sighting in net for the Panthers here. Jimmy, what do you think here? Florida, Detroit.
I think this is a very dangerous situation. As easy as it's been fading the Florida Panthers, especially after Maurice came out and said that they don't care about home ice. They don't care about winning the Atlantic.
At what point do they say we don't want to let the losing drag on? Is probably what you're
right now.
saying. Yeah,
right now.
Yeah,
Paul Maurice has had enough. He's had enough. They talked about the 3 guys being called up. They've lost all 3 games on this 4-game road trip. They've lost 4 in a row. They and we talked about them out shooting Ottawa 40-22 and out hitting them 55-31. They've scored 6 goals over this 4-game losing streak. And we know Barkov, you mentioned the injuries with Sam Bennett taking over the first line center. Nico Sturm also day-to-day with upper body injury, and Ekblad with the PEDs and all that stuff. Yeah. Look, the Wings are trying and they're putting out effort. And there was a very easy bet against them against the Hurricanes. I mean, that was his easy spot with motivation. But this is way, way trickier. And as much as I've loved backing the Red Wings over this last little while and have faded the Panthers, even though I wasn't on Ottawa yesterday, I just think this is the Vitek Vanacek, yes, but I mean, look who's across the crease. I mean, it's
not like Talbot's a knight in shining armor in the net either. No, although he's been a little bit better. He's had a nice week. St. Louis game, he played pretty well. The Carolina, but you know what? He could go down in the tank. I get it. Yeah, he's not trustworthy either. Yeah.
And over the talking about,
that's why I split it up. I got team total on Detroit as well, not just money line. I split it up because this could be a game where it's 4-3 Florida. It could be.
Over talking about this, like with us talking about this game, I'm starting to come towards the Panthers, and I'm surprised to say that. And maybe it's better just to stay off. But with them getting shut out, with them playing, Paul Maurice had them. You can't come into the playoffs playing like this. Yes, it's more important to be healthy, and yes, it's more important. They believe they can beat any team in the National Hockey League on any ice rink. But you can't go get swept on a 4-game road trip. I mean, they got the Leafs coming to Florida here. Leafs are going to play Florida and Tampa here next week. It's just
that's another thing. I think they wait till they get home maybe to get well. Like they look a little run out of gas right now too. Yeah,
it's all possible.
Yeah.
I think this is there's so many layers to now what's going on. When we make so much money in the last 2 weeks of regular season, they're the simple spots like Detroit against Carolina. Detroit had everything to play for. Carolina had just beaten Washington with 2 teams that didn't care about playing with it was such a simple motivate. We cash so easily on simple spots. Even I'm not saying that the Capitals aren't going to come back and beat the Islanders because we know how good the Capitals can be in the third period and things of that nature. But that was a very simple cap. The Island, everybody caring about this goal for Ovechkin. They're not caring about winning. The Islanders are still trying to make the playoffs and have one of the most intense coaches in the league. Right. Very simple. Yeah. Here with the Panthers coming off getting shut out, losing all 3 games of this 4-game trip, this isn't simple.
Yes.
And I'm off of this one at this point, and I kind of find myself moving towards the Panthers. And again, I'm going to sit and think about this long and hard.
Yeah.
But this is, I think the trickiest game on the card here tonight is Panthers Red Wings.
I will say this: Panthers play Leafs too. That's another thing that's probably bolstering the Detroit argument is that they got Toronto coming up on Tuesday. And I believe that's in Florida this time. Yes.
Yeah.
The game in Florida. So that's the thing. I mean, it might just be, take our lumps on this road trip. And obviously, Detroit's going to get effort. You're going to get effort out of Detroit. And you should from Florida. But again, with the homestand and the big games coming up, including Toronto, and especially a revenge spot too, because Toronto beat them in Toronto last week. Like I said, I still think there's enough to take Detroit here. I will say this: I liked Ottawa more yesterday against Florida than I liked Detroit today against Florida. But I'm still taking them. We made the money yesterday against Florida. We're going back in today with a Red Wings money line and team total over split. And I might add a small full game over if it's Vanacek because there could be And I know Florida's a tough team to bet overs with right now. They're struggling to score, and they can still be capable defensively. But with Vanacek and Talbot, that screams you got to put something on an over when the total's at 5.5. It kind of screams that way and feels that way a little bit to me here. All right, next up, we've got Boston and Buffalo. How about those red-hot Buffalo Sabres? They can't be stopped. Buffalo minus 180, home favorite, 6 the total. So here's the thing. Buffalo, I took them last night, and I said, I don't want to bet against them, especially at home at KeyBank Center. Look at the teams they've beaten at home lately. Tampa Bay, Edmonton, Vegas. You go on down the list. Look at this great little who's who of teams they've beaten on home ice, and they added to it last night with a win against the Tampa Bay Lightning in that game last night. The only problem here is price point. Now, are you ready to get there at minus 180 with the Buffalo Sabres for as well as they've been playing, especially on home ice? I don't want Boston, even after a 5-1 win last night against Carolina on a back-to-back. It's back-to-back for both teams, but Boston's got to travel into Buffalo. Buffalo gets to stay right at home. I still don't trust the Bruins fully. And that game was in Boston last night. On the road, they've been a train wreck here for the better part of the last few weeks. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen projected in net on the back-to-back. It was Reimer last night. They're still without Josh Norris, Jordan Greenway, Tyson Kozak. They've been without those guys for a little while, and they've still won. Jonas Korpisalo projected in net for the Boston Bruins. Neither goalie's had a great season. Swayman's been really rough, although he had a better game against Montreal and then a pretty good game last night against Carolina. What I remember of Korpisalo is the last game he started, and he got absolutely shelled by the Anaheim Ducks. I remember that game out on the West Coast. He was terrible in that game. I think I will get there with Buffalo team total over 3.5. I think that is probably the best approach, and I always like doing this with the bigger favorites. I think Jimmy knows that from the Thursday shows. If I like a bigger favorite, I'll just go team total over 3.5. Why take minus 180 when you can get like even money on a Buffalo team total over 3.5? And most games, Buffalo wins last night notwithstanding. They did only score 3 last night, but most times they do score 4. So Sabres team total is of interest. This definitely feels like an up and down affair. Two teams not making the playoffs, roll the puck out. So I'm going to do the over by Fecta here. Over 1.5 first period, over 6 full game. Boston first period overs heating up again, by the way. It cashed again last night. Buffalo, we know, at home all year. They've been a pretty strong over team. So over by Fecta, primary looks for me in this game. First period, full game, and a little bit on that Sabres team total over as well. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Sabres.
One of the many, many voices in my head tells me when I see this matchup, you don't have to bet every game on the board. So I'm not betting this one. This is a complete pass because there's no way in hell I'm laying even $1.20 for the Sabres to win within 60. This is a Buffalo team that I've burned enough money with during the year. And yes, they should. Like I said, they wake up when they're eliminated from the playoffs. This is a Boston team that's dog shit. They should be able to name their score at home. But I don't want to make a bet and then all of a sudden they lose this game 2-1. So it's a pass for me.
Yeah, and I don't trust Korpisalo, quite honestly, for Boston. He got 6 goals allowed against Anaheim in his last start. Like I said, it's one thing with Korpisalo early in the year playing with that team that had Marchand and Coyle and Brandon Carlo, who, by the way, is starting to really fit in nicely with Morgan Riley on that blue line with Toronto. They've started to play really well. It was one thing for Korpisalo to play behind all those guys, but now you got this inexperienced team littered with youth, and we saw signs of that. He just got lit up by Anaheim, Korpisalo, in his last start. We'll see if he can improve on that here tonight. Jimmy, what are you liking here? Boston, Buffalo.
I'm very comfortable with this number. In fact, it was important to me that they were minus 175 or minus 180 and not minus 150 or in that this line wasn't going to move back to the Bruins. It was important for me to see the Sabres at a price that you're like, really? Should they be this big of a favorite?
Because you think, okay, maybe they should be. Maybe they know what they're doing. Yeah,
exactly. I like it. I took it on the -1 line and minus 117. And I also, hearing you guys break down this game, I do think I should add the full game over because I think that the Bruins have, after picking up 5 goals, past the getting the Hattie, scoring his 40th, I think that maybe there is a bit of a relief for the team. Let's. They could
have scored a bunch against Montreal in that game. Montembeault was really good. I thought they played pretty well offensively. Had chances, but Montembeault was really good.
I like this spot very much. I think that Buffalo, there's certain, you're like, why would Buffalo be stepping up at this time of year? Kulik, Benson, Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs. These guys have so much to prove. They have so much to prove. There's so much on the line for these young hockey players right now who haven't stepped up the way that there was an expectation of. So they're still playing hard. They're playing hard, and I think this is a fine price. And I can understand someone saying this is too expensive, and it's a valid argument. And then again, like what Boban was saying, I think it's expensive for a reason. I think it's a beautiful opportunity to fade the Bruins after a big victory. And then I think that also kind of ties into the over, which, it takes me a while to get to overs. I'm more of an under better. That's another reason why I love capping with Boban and with Alex. I mean, we're all such different.
He's more of an under, and of course, we're way more of an over better. Although I've sprinkled some unders lately, I have, as you guys know.
Yeah, we bet them every now and then, the unders, but mostly overs. Yeah,
I'm about 8.5, 9 out of every 10 totals for me is an under in all sports. But I like this over
counterbalance with you on the show. Yeah,
yeah. I like this over. Buffalo -1. I think is a great spot. And if I wasn't so high on the Jackets early and the Jackets getting the 3 goals tonight, this simply put, when I was looking at the games, this was the most comforting spot on the board. This is a price range that I really like. Also, if the Bruins score, because we're in the -170, -180 range, you get the plus. It might take a few minutes, but you'll get that +120 live at first on the Sabres. I think this is a great spot. So the over 6 now I think is the most appealing addition at this point to the card. At the sharpest offshores, this has moved about 7 cents towards the over in the last 45 minutes, hour. And again, I think the Bruins, past to getting those goals. I think once you see the red light go on a few times, it's easier to get it to go on again. So I think the over will be an addition. I'm on the Buffalo -1 in this one.
Believe it or not, there's a couple Bruins I like. I like Morgan Geeky's on a 6-game point streak, and he's been just outstanding for Boston all year. But Elias Lindholm, who has had a brutal year, but he has scored now in back-to-back games, and you're getting over +300 with him. I think it's worth a shot. Has he had a bad year? Yes. Has he underachieved offensively for this Bruins team? 100%. But he now has scored in back-to-back games. You're getting over that +300 price on Lindholm. I think that's worth a look. And then take your pick for Buffalo. Zucker, Alex Tuck is on a heater right now, 5-game point streak. This guy is scoring and getting points left and right. Zucker's on a 3-game point streak. Tage Thompson heating up for the Buffalo Sabres. Don't forget about my guy. You'll not see nothing like the mighty Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn for the Buffalo Sabres has been and he got one of the shootout goals last night against Tampa Bay. So you could take your pick for Buffalo because there's multiple players right now that are feeling it right now for them at the offensive end, no question. All right, next up, Pittsburgh and Chicago. We've got the Penguins -135, road favorites, 6.5 the total. Pittsburgh, great win for them. You could tell, give Pittsburgh credit. Most of the games down the stretch, they played hard. They still are not very good defensively in particular, but when the Crosby line has it going, as they did yesterday, they're a threat. And they showed it. 5-3 against Dallas. Crosby got a hat trick in that game. That line was involved. Brian Rust, who plays with Crosby, got a goal as well. I mean, if you don't shut down Crosby, Rust, and McGroarty was on that line the last couple of games, you're going to be in tough. That's still a line that can almost not single-handedly win games for Pittsburgh, but come close. They don't always have a lot other than that, but that was the difference yesterday, how good that line was against the Dallas Stars. They're on a back-to-back. It is a rest advantage for the Blackhawks, who played Friday night against Washington and were victims of Alex Ovechkin tying Wayne Gretzky's record against Chicago. Although Spencer Knight, and we talked about this, Jimmy, yesterday on the recap, he deserves all the credit in the world for the 2 saves he made in the final minute, because Ovechkin had 2 just grade A looks to get the record. And Spencer Knight said, "Oh, no, you don't. Not on my watch. You're fucking not doing this tonight." And he made a couple of great saves at the end. With Pittsburgh on the back-to-back, by the way, with Boston-Buffalo. Boston 5-3-1 on a back-to-back. Buffalo 4-7 on a back-to-back this year. Pittsburgh 6-7 on a back-to-back this year. Here's interesting, though, and Mikey put this together, so credit to him. 9-4 on a to the over on the second night of a back-to-back for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that's what I like here. It's a first period. It's another over by Fecta look. I know it's repetitive, but Nedeljkovic, who's had a dismal year, is probably going to be in net for Pittsburgh. Is it going to be Spencer Knight again? We'll see. It's projected to be him.
Yeah, I haven't heard confirmation yet.
I have not heard confirmation. When it's this long and they haven't automatically said Spencer Knight, I think we might be seeing the weaker of the two Blackhawks netminders tonight, possibly Arvid Soderblom, which is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be Soderblom in net here for the Blackhawks. So either way, again, you got two teams out of the playoffs. We don't trust either team at the defensive end of the ice right now. How could you? So it's over 1.5, over 6.5 for me. Over by Fecta. That's it. Nothing else. Alex, what do you think here? Penguins, Blackhawks.
Over by Factor would be a live target for me, regardless of goalie. But if it's Spencer Knight, I'm going to take a shot with the Hawks here at plus money. Like I said, we've seen this just better energy with him in net. Like I said, he's played well. Like I said, even in that game on the road against the Capitals with all the fans there and all the Ovechkin watch, they battled and he played well. He made big saves all night long, even though he gave up 5. But he that could have been, if that was Soderblom in that, Ovi would have had the record and they would have won 8-4 more than likely. Because we've seen the regression once again, Soderblom down the stretch. So that's the difference maker here. I will be looking for the over by Factor in game, but if it is Spencer Knight confirmed, then I will be adding Chicago money line. And I do have my bargain bin coming from this game as well.
All right, so over by Factor in game, and we'll add Chicago money line, Alex, if Spencer Knight confirmed in net for the Blackhawks. That's the approach. Jimmy, what are you seeing here? Penguins, Blackhawks.
Well, they open up this line where, they felt like they were just opening up their arms to any Pittsburgh Penguins action here. And I realized this, Penguins played out of their mind against the Stars, and that, they're still putting out max effort, because Crosby demands accountability and gets it from his teammates. As much as, Barry Smith is, I find, very sharp in NHL, and he's on the Blackhawks. I just can't press the button. I can't press the button. If I was just giving out a pick, a big idea, sure, I guess I'd take the Blackhawks here. But I can't bet a unit on a team that's lost 12 of 13, even though it feels like a great spot for them. Jason Dickinson going down is a big loss to a team that doesn't win faceoffs and is, look at their shorthanded numbers since he's been out. They had very good shorthanded this year. They were very good out of, which was a bit of a surprise. Their special teams for the Blackhawks.
They need a Michael Pekka on their coaching staff, someone to work with this team on faceoffs, because it's got to get better. Getting beaten like a drum on faceoffs. That's a great point. Yep.
It's a problem. It's a problem. And it's also why the Islanders, I know they're a little worse with Brock Nelson over in Colorado, but it's why the Islanders can be a good bet. And, they have puck possession a lot of the time, even though they haven't handled the puck possession well. And also Alec Martinez being day-to-day on a defense that lost Seth Jones, a defense that is questionable. I know Connor Murphy playing very well, but there's, I just can't do it. Maybe you guys are right on the 6.5, AM moving on it at plus 104. It's surely more appealing than the minus 115 that's available. It opened at 104, now up to minus 115. This is a high volatility game, which then, transfers over to your overs. Maybe I should just take an over 6.5 with the Blackhawks at home and call it a day. One thing about the Blackhawks is that they get very excited. They're young players. They were very excited to play Washington a few days ago. Very excited. Yeah. And I was on the Blackhawks first period plus a half of minus 159. And I was like, I love this bet. And I was on the over. It was
we had Chicago to score in the first period, which is similar.
That was a great bet. I had just the first period plus a half, but we both cashed.
Yeah.
So maybe I should just take the over 6.5. Maybe that's just the best way to do it. I mean, whether it's Spencer Knight or Soderblom, and Nedeljkovic, I don't trust. Maybe this is the move is the over 6.5, but I cannot bet $300 on the Chicago Blackhawks. I just even
some
if
people
it seems like it's the right,
find it in them to bet $3 on the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. But that over 6.5 is appealing. Again, the 6.5s have always scared me. I'm much, much more likely to move on a 6 to get the push and play. But I think you were probably right with the 6.5. This is a game where the Blackhawks are going to be very excited to play. Crosby, and their young players should be excited to play Crosby. So, so I guess I'm leaning towards the 6.5 with you guys, but there'll be no bet on the side.
Sounds like you should be waiting for live action with this game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of
the
getting.
one thing though that scares me personally is if you have an angle that you believe in, and this one is something that I'm getting there because of you guys in the chat. But if you have an angle that you believe in, I'd like to have some money pre-game just in case I'm right. If I'm right and it's 2-0 and there's no chance to get in on live, then I'll be beating myself up. So, but I get what you're saying. The live, this is our perfect. As soon as it gets to 4.5, if it's a 0-0 first period, hammer that -170.
For sure.
Second period totals.
9-1 run totals. For those second period overs with the scoreless first period. 9-1 run. Anytime I see it now, I'm betting it. You don't even have to ask me.
Definitely.
Are you going to move on this second period over with a scoreless first period? You don't even have to ask me. I'm doing it.
AM saying there's still value on the over 6.5 with Penguins Blackhawks. I think you guys are right. And I got moved to an over on our Friday show because of the chat answers. I get when my ROI when the chat and listening to the cappers I'm on screen with that lead me to an over. My ROI is much better than if I bet an over on my own. So I think I get there.
You know what? I will add that to my card. Second period, both teams to score. You can get +108 pregame at FanDuel. That's one I like making that bet now. Kind of that's my way of putting a stamp on it.
Right.
To look forward second period overs, but this is one where even if we get goals in the first, I definitely be able to see goals happening in the second frame for sure. So
yeah, it's a good idea. By the way, Crosby is working on a 12-game point streak. Entering this game this afternoon, will he be able to keep it rolling? Wouldn't be shocked if he does. But it's been an incredible run for sure with that for him, no doubt about it. We'll see if that continues moving forward. Is it? No, actually, no. I think the streak got broken up, but he's obviously had a hat trick yesterday for the Penguins. But that line's been good. I like McGroarty. I'm going to take another shot with him. I thought he's had a pretty good couple of games here with the Penguins for props in this game. And then for Chicago, Frankie Nazar, is he heating up again? Potentially here for the Blackhawks as well. Bertuzzi, it's taken him a while, but scored the other night against the Washington Capitals. So it's a couple guys starting to get things rolling here for Chicago. All right, Montreal, Nashville. We've got even money, -110 both sides, 6 the total here in this game. There's no fucking way I bet Nashville. That's the first part of where we start with this handicap. Full game, I mean. The question is, can you get there with Montreal? That's the decision that needs to be made here, because they're playing great. They are absolutely rolling. They are pushing hard to get this second wild card spot nailed down, and they are showing great resilience. They get down in games and they come back and they win. And it was a great comeback last night against Philly. They're so much better than Nashville. It's not even funny talking about how much better Montreal is than Nashville right now. But this is a very tricky spot. Late game, or not a late game, but Saturday, travel to Nashville, back to back, and now you're in Nashville, which is, a little bit of an entertainment hub, as everybody knows. Not a slam dunk spot for Montreal, just from a situationals and a scheduling standpoint. And Jonathan Davis is on top of this. Jakub Dobeš is going to get the start here tonight, most likely. It's not confirmed, but it's probably going to be him on a back-to-back. They got to rest Montembeault, and this is the night to do it against a bad Nashville team. UC Saros will be in net for Nashville. Dobeš has given up the first goal in 11 of 13 starts. And I think you could make a really strong case to take Nashville to score the first goal tonight, because I think it could be a slow start for Montreal. Coming in from Montreal to Nashville, the comeback last night, flat to begin this game, potentially in the opening period. And again, that trend matters. Dobeš, and credit to Jimmy Murphy and Pierre Maguire, their great podcast, The Eye Test, and our good friend. We're going to get Jimmy finally back on the show during the playoffs. We're going to finally get some time with him to bring him back on the show during the playoffs. But him and Pierre talked about this, Pierre especially. Pierre Maguire said there's a flaw in Jakub Dobeš's game right now. People have exploited it on the video. He is going down early, and they are shooting the puck high over him, his shoulder, and he is getting destroyed and lit up the last couple games, and people kind of figured him out a little bit. Now, that's up to Dobeš now to make the adjustment. People know to shoot high on you. You're going down too early. You got to stop that nonsense. You've got to tighten up your technique now to prevent that from happening. When you're a goalie and your first on the scene in the NHL. That's how good this league is. Other teams are going to figure out your vulnerabilities and exploit your weaknesses. And teams are doing that right now with Jakub Dobeš. He's down too early. They're elevating the puck, and he's getting beaten left and right. And he's not playing anywhere close to as good as he did early in the season when he was lights out. This is a guy that went into Florida and shut out the Panthers, I remember, early in his career. But you look at the last few starts, he got lit up by Seattle. He gave up 5 goals. He gave up 6 to the Philadelphia Flyers in his last start. Like I said, Pierre Maguire and Jimmy were right on, spot on. Teams, I think, have clearly seen a weakness and a flaw in his goaltending technique, and they are exploiting it right now. And that has been part of the reason why I leave that stat up on the screen. Dobeš has been giving up this first goal so often in his starts. So I actually am going to bet something on Nashville to score first. I think it's been that strong. It's a tricky spot for. That's all I want with Nashville. I don't trust this team to win the hockey game. I don't. But the angle makes sense. Dobeš has to tighten up some things with his game. Teams are exploiting it. Montreal's coming in on the back-to-back after a huge comeback win, flat city, potentially in the first 20 minutes. And there's Dobeš giving up that early goal, which he's done a lot, obviously, this season. 11 of his 13 starts giving up the first goal. And these first goals have come really early, too. Like, I think the Philly game, he gave up the first goal in like the first 5 minutes of that Flyers game. So I am convinced to take Nashville to score the first goal of the game, and you're getting plus money on that. But that's it. That's the only bet I've made pregame. Nothing with the total, nothing with the side. I think Montreal will be appealing if they start slow and fall behind, because we know this team's got guts. They've got heart. They got resilience. They're trying to make the playoffs and cement their status. They do not quit. So Montreal live, if they fall behind, and I have a feeling they might fall behind tonight, that could become a target for me, a live target at plus money. Alex, after all that, how are you approaching this one? Canadiens,
yeah, I mean,
Predators.
We're pretty much looking at the same kind of things. Obviously, Nashville to score first. You can get first goal of the game minus $1.10. First goal of the first period, I'll grab as well. You can get that plus 120, plus 125. So shop around for that. But I think that's a great angle, fading Dobeš early, and like I said, then looking to grab Montreal live. Like I said, we saw it with the Habs in the last game just last night. This is a team that they're very resilient, have no problem backing them or jumping on them live when they are down a goal or even 2 goals. So I think it sets up a great spot there. I'm even looking at Nashville to score in the first 10 minutes. You can grab a plus 155 at Bet Online. So I may have small sprinkles scattered throughout Nashville. First goal of the game, first goal of the first period, and goal in 10 minutes. And then if we can cash all those, we'll come right back and grab Habs live on Moneyline.
The Montreal first period overs, it's still been a strong run, but I do want to mention it's 2 in a row that have stayed under. Boston Montreal was a first period under. Philly Montreal was a first period under. Much to harsh, and I know Alex really liked that first period over. That was frustrating.
Yeah.
Man.
Yes,
really, there were some chances to get over in that. So I'm kind of peeling back a little bit on taking the first period over, because it has cooled off and it hasn't cashed now 2 in a row after that great run. What was it, 9 in a row and 11-1 with Montreal first period overs? Now it's 2 in a row that have stayed under. So that's why I'm kind of scaling back a little bit, taking it tonight. Jimmy, I know you mentioned earlier on the show you kind of want to take Montreal here, even despite the tricky spot. What do you think right now, Habs Preds?
You know, I would love to sit here and say this is the type of situation where the Sharps lose, because we see it.
We see this price. It's ludicrous, on
It's
paper.
ludicrous.
That Montreal's even money anywhere. I don't care. They could put that game in my fucking backyard. Montreal should not be minus 110 against Nashville, just based on quality of team.
Nashville, not only do they have nothing to play for, but they have a ton of injuries. And Wilsby and Lauzon being out for the year, not an issue. But, Yossi not coming back, their captain, their Norris Trophy winner. Colton Sissons is such an important player. He's sort of in the Jason Dickinson fold, but he's probably better. He's big. He wins face-offs. He's got hands of stone, but he's still an important guy in the room. He's out. Marchessault is day-to-day with lower body injury. I think he's out because of sadness, honestly. And then Spencer Stastny, not to be confused with the Marion, Anton, and Peter Stastny. There's an E in this Stastny. His dad's name is Hoyt.
Different spelling.
Yeah, there's no Czechs named Hoyt. So he's going to be out. It's just, not that big of a deal. But they're dealing with a ton of injuries. Look, Montreal has everything on the line here, and I want to bet them. I want to sit here and say
we all do.
Yeah, I want to say, look, the markets, they don't, yes, it's a terrible situation, but they're going to step up. This isn't also like, I think this is different from the Winnipeg Utah spot last night. Winnipeg had just shut out Vegas 4-0 and with their bag with Comrie in net, and then they're going to Utah, who was rested at home and playing well. They're playing better. I mean, they came that horrible road trip, but they came back home and won a couple of games. We saw a 30 or 40-cent move. I mean, I guess I just stay off of the spot. I guess that's the smart thing to do, is stay off of the spot. Also, if the Nashville Predators go up 1-0, I'm not going to rush. I don't want Montreal. I don't have a pregame bet on Montreal. I wish I could sit here with conviction and say, look, the Habs have everything to play for. They're full of character and youth and excitement, but I guess the smart thing to do is just stay off. I mean, are we smarter than the markets? No.
I won't be staying off Montreal if Nashville gets the lead. I will take them live, but I'm very, very confident, not confident, but I feel very strongly Nashville does score first, based on the Dobish trends of giving up the first goal and given how difficult it could be early for Montreal to get into that game after last night's comeback.
Yeah, I guess the smart thing to do is just stay off and be a fan. I mean, Slatsy's got the Habs 14-1 to make the playoffs. I got 6-1, and it's very important to my bankroll. I'm very I need it to clean up some of the mistakes I've made in the futures market, like the Rangers mistakes. I need the Habs to clean it up. But I guess I just stay off and maybe lament. But look, the Canadiens have been so much fun to bet because they're so much fun to watch. I mean, how do you not love this hockey team?
How do you not see that as fun? The goal that Lane Hutson scored last night. I mean, that's just ridiculous skill. Unbelievable.
What a hockey team. Montreal fans know what's going to wait in the next few years, and it's glory, a return to glory. I guess I just have to stay off. I think that's the smartest thing for me to do, is just let go and stay off, which is not easy. It's not easy.
And Jimmy Murphy and Pierre Maguire are getting their flowers for the Lane Hutson call. And I know people for years, going back to when he worked with Gord Miller all those years ago, 15, 20 years ago at TSN, Pierre Maguire, and people would say, what a weird guy. He's awkward. He's got some, he's kind of, he's off the wall energy. But the way I see it, he loves hockey. He's passionate about hockey. I think he knows what he's talking about. And he is right as rain when nobody gave Lane Hutson a chance to be big time at the NHL level. There were teams that crossed him off their do not draft list. They put Lane Hutson on it because he was so small in stature. They said, we cannot draft this guy. He'll never amount to anything in the NHL. And Pierre Maguire, going back to years, because he's watched him for years in college, has said all along, and he never wavered. Right from the beginning, Pierre Maguire said, this guy is going to be a superstar defenseman and big time in the NHL. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Nobody else believed him at the time. I mean, it's ridiculous. Teams were putting Lane Hutson on their do not draft list.
Yeah.
How insane is that now, looking back on it? And look at what he's doing right now.
And it's fascinating, and it goes back to the conversation I've had. It's more so directed with goalies, but you can throw forwards in here as well, where we've countlessly seen over the years small players do well in this league. And we've seen a lot of big players who were highly touted do fucking nothing. So size, at the end of the day, it's all about the heart, in the player. There's shorter statured goalies, shorter statured forwards and D-men who still have the skill and talent to play at this level and do well. So, scouts get so wrapped up in how big or how small a guy is. No, just how well does he fucking play?
And Phil Housley is who we have to thank for the young defenseman. I believe Housley was in an era where there was none, and he was phenomenal. So shout out to Housley. And Rich H says, shout out to Cliff Ronning. That's my favorite line of all time. Memesso, Ronning, Sandlak. That was my favorite line of all time. That's my, God, I miss those days. I miss those days so much, but we'll keep rolling.
No doubt. Just a couple props. Look, Suzuki, Gallagher, and Hutson. Gallagher's starting to heat up. You're seeing his veteran presence make a difference lately for the Canadiens. But definitely Hutson and Suzuki have been on a roll. The captain has played. Talk about a captain that I was never fully on board with, is this guy going to be a difference maker and a big-time captain, Nick Suzuki? Oh, he's been big-time lately. Man alive. He's got me a believer now in him and his captaincy and his ability to be a leader for this team. What a job he has done in the last couple of weeks. He is fully he's been great. And Marty St. Louis deserves a lot of credit, no question. So those are some props. And I'll throw one out there for Nashville, a little off-the-radar goal prop. Michael McCarron. He's actually gotten points in back-to-back games. Not a goal, but points, assists. Montreal's the team he actually started his career with, Michael McCarron. So just kind of an oddball that maybe against his old team here, Michael McCarron maybe scores a goal. He's certainly getting one hell of a price. What is it? Plus for him to score a goal here, plus 700, plus 750. Maybe even just sprinkle on that. All right, we have reached our final game of this Sunday NHL card. Vegas, Vancouver, Golden Knights minus 160, road favorites. 5.5 the total in this game. This game bums the hell out of me. I want to fade both of these teams so badly in this spot. I really do. Vegas on a back-to-back on the road after a fluky and lucky comeback, or not, they weren't lucky. They actually played pretty well, but the overtime goal was lucky. I mean, off Uyghur's skate, ricochets then off Dustin Wolf's back and in for the overtime winner for Riley Smith last night for the Vegas Golden Knights. They certainly played better, and Bruce Cassidy kind of got after them after they were shut out by Winnipeg about, we got up our ante a little bit. And they did play better last night, but now they're on a back-to-back on the road here. Don't trust them in this spot. I don't know if I can touch Vancouver, though. I know they beat Anaheim big time yesterday, but, Anaheim just fell apart and crumbled defensively in that first period. And yes, technically, they are still alive. They're not making the playoffs. I know they're technically, mathematically still alive, but I don't trust Vancouver enough to take them. And really, I'm not interested in taking Vancouver right now either in this spot. Both teams are on a back-to-back. As far as back-to-back record, Vegas is the much better team on a back-to-back. Vegas is 7-4 on a back-to-back this year. Vancouver 2-7 on a back-to-back. And I remember taking Dallas against Vancouver when Vancouver played Saturday, and then they played again on Sunday, and Dallas took care of them. So if I had to choose one of these teams who to bet, I would choose Vegas. But I'm not rushing to take Vegas at minus 160. This is, again, maybe a live bet if they fall behind. Maybe I get interested in taking the Golden Knights. But pregame, it's tough. I lean to the draw a little bit. Both teams, like Vancouver needs every point they can get. Vegas, now with LA playing well, and with the little slump Vegas had before the win last night, they were only 1 point. 1 point ahead of Los Angeles for first in the Pacific Division. They're now 3 points up on LA with the big overtime win they got last night. So they still need to win to nail down the Pacific Division, Vegas. So there definitely is still something to play for them. I lean Vegas, don't love the price. Don't really love either team in this spot. This is as close to my pass as there is on the board here for this Sunday card. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Vancouver.
I took a small shot with Vegas team total over 3.5. You can get plus 128 at FanDuel. I think that's worth a shot. You got the team in Vegas, like I said, good team, better team than Vancouver, and they have something still to play for. And this is just a tough spot for Vancouver, like I said, all in the second of back-to-back. So this is one where I wouldn't be shocked. Also, this is the ESPN game, too. So this will be basically the fourth game of the day that you can find here in the States on national TV, which is fantastic. So this one, maybe I'll look for some live spots, but I'm definitely already on Vegas team total over. This would not shock me one bit if it's 5-2, 6-2. Like I said, it's kind of the end of the string here for the Canucks in their chase to try to get a playoff spot.
All right, so Vegas team total over 3.5 at a really nice plus price that you can get with that. Aiden Hill, by the way, interesting that Bruce Cassidy saved Aiden Hill for tonight and went with Akira Schmid last night in the game against Calgary. So you get Aiden Hill tonight, and it is Kevin Lankinen. Not a surprise because it was Demko yesterday. He needs a rest, and it'll be Kevin Lankinen here for Vancouver on the second night of back-to-back games. What a season it's been for Lankinen, but he hasn't been nearly as effective or sharp in his last few starts. Jimmy, what do you think? Obviously, by the way, for those of you that don't know or and haven't watched Jimmy's show, I should point this out. Jimmy is a Canucks fan, so he always tries to keep a very unbiased opinion on Vancouver from a betting standpoint. He doesn't let his fandom cloud his judgment when it comes to the Canucks. So he's going to give you a good opinion here, one way or the other on this game. Jimmy, what do you think? Vegas, Vancouver.
Well, I'm born and raised in Vancouver. I was so lucky to get to go to the Pacific Coliseum with my pops all growing up, and the greatest memories of my life were going to Canucks games. And I can wax for too long, and I'm not going to sit here and do that. But there are enormous problems with this Vancouver Canucks team. Rutherford, I was so excited for coming over. I now despise him. Alvin is, a smart hockey guy. He's he's Buddhist, and it's difficult to put tough guys in a lineup if you come from a very a background, a Buddhist background that's about love and caring and kindness and compassion. It's hard to put, killers out like Tom Wilson and find a way to get them on your team. Dakota Joshua also is now born again after the testicular cancer. It's not good if your toughest player is coming into a religion that with nonviolence. It's a real problem. Philip Hedl was the worst possible pickup. It wasn't Rutherford who signed Ferland for a 4-year contract. Look, it saddens me that we have that Hedl has the concussion issues that he has, but no team.
They willingly traded him knowing he's been damaged goods and has had one injury after another. Yes.
It's incomprehensible. Yep. And they should be fucking ashamed of themselves for dragging. We had a really good team with a ton of potential, and they dragged it back down. And saying all that here,
he's not a Rutherford Alvin fan, as you can tell.
No. And saying this here, James Buchanan says none of this shit matters. That's fine, James. There's different ways of looking at hockey. Some use advanced models. My mom's a shrink. I think it matters very much. If you want your toughest players to play on an edge where they're going to physically hurt the opposition, like Tom Wilson wants to do, or you have, Dakota Joshua with a much different sentiment.
Guys like Stu Grimson are one in a billion. So I get what you're saying in this.
Yes.
There's different ways of looking at it, and I don't need to hammer this stuff. Elias Pettersson is the worst possible contract. I said it before the year started. I can't believe it. Now the team is better with
general soreness, and the guy takes his ball and goes home in the biggest games of the season. Unreal. And I've just shit on that guy for weeks, and I'm not going to do it again. I've done it enough.
Pius Suter has been phenomenal. He's been playing better than Pettersson was playing.
I agree.
The Garland plays with a ton of heart. There's a lot of heart still in this team. We watched Kiefer Sherwood shatter the hits record. But this injury report is so difficult. You have Holmelander and Ilzaman day to day. Tyler Meyer is going to be out. Hedl, of course, out. Pettersson out. I mean, this is a lot to lose here. And the Knights saved Aiden Hill here for a reason. They saved him for a reason. And I believe that the Vegas Golden Knights on the -1 line is the bet. Now, I wanted to sit with it a little longer. I kind of wanted to watch the market move towards the Knights. And things like that. Hurdle, of course, out for the Knights, but they're fully healthy on defense right now. And, the Canucks snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 6-2 win at home over the Ducks. They've been outscored 8-1 over the previous 2 games. They get to take a breath, and they were a powder keg type situation, right? They scored 5 goals in 4 minutes because they were a powder keg. They hadn't been scoring. They needed to get all that energy out. I think that the Golden Knights on the -1 line is going to be a very comfortable victory this evening. I don't think it'll be too stressful. I think it'll be a comfortable victory. Now, in saying that, I haven't bet it yet. And this is Bailey says Vegas sucks on the road. Yeah, and this all 18, 13, and 5. That's totally valid. 18 wins in regulation and 36 road games. That's very valid. Yeah. I just think that the Canucks can take a breath now that they scored some goals. And the Knights know that the Kings are winning every single hockey game behind them. And you could say there was a message in the chat, do they even want to play the Blues? That's fair. But, yeah, I think that you kind of want to stay away from Edmonton and LA in the first round, if possible. I don't think they're afraid of either team. Right. So, yes, I think that the Vegas -1 will be an addition here. I just wanted to sit with it a little longer. I don't think Lankinen is nearly as good as we saw in the first half of the season. He's done a good job holding the fort here. With Shilov's not able to do it. But I think that Vegas will be a very comfortable victory here for us, and probably should look at their team total, but I think I'll just take Vegas on the -1 line. So.
Yeah, and that which Alex did, of course, is taking Vegas team total here in this one. And yes, Lankinen, look, yeoman's work for him this year. I mean, 2.66 goals against, 8.99 save percentage. But the last few starts have been iffy from him. If you actually look at the road trip when he got those starts, he gave up 4 to St. Louis in the loss, 4 to the Rangers on just 11 shots, and then 6 allowed to Columbus in that crazy game that went back and forth with the Jackets. So he hasn't been nearly as sharp in the latter starts here, Kevin. He's had a great season overall, especially because Demko was out for so long, and his goaltending helped keep the Vancouver Canucks afloat. But there's no doubt he hasn't been nearly as sharp in recent games. And then for props in this game, like I said, we've got Dorofeyev continues to be someone who, is always a threat to score every night. I don't mind taking a look there as far as his props anytime. You would think this could be a Quinn Hughes night because, your team, you have no margin for error. This is probably going to be win every game if you got any sort of sliver of a chance, and they're probably not getting in. But like I said, that's what it would take for Vancouver. So you would think Quinn Hughes is probably one of the players that has to step to the forefront and become a major difference maker for them. So maybe for that reason, you can look in that direction. Brandon Saad had a couple of chances last night. You got robbed by Dustin Wolf on one of them. So maybe you look in that regard. And like
Brandon
I said,
Saad always has a couple of chances, though.
And, exactly. Doesn't do enough with those chances. Yeah, no doubt. Drew O'Connor, Pius Suter. I like the way they've played lately for the Canucks. And Garland always plays hard every night. So those would be maybe some prop considerations for Vancouver. There you have it. That is the Sunday card. Jimmy's debut here on the Ice Guys show. Did a great job. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, we have 2 more Patreon exclusive live betcasts coming up this week, Tuesday and Thursday. We cannot wait. Tuesday, April 8th, Thursday, April 10th. Both of those betcasts this week, Patreon exclusive. And then, of course, we've got our free-for-all betcast for the month of April. Next Tuesday, April 15th, the final Tuesday of the regular season. So, again, we've got 3 live betcasts coming up in the next 9 days. So, again, make sure you sign up for the Patreon exclusive live betcast before they begin. $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. We've got our live wagering chat room on the Patreon page and live discussion for our Patreon members to interact with one another on the Patreon page. So make sure you check that out. Just $10 per month. It helps support the show. Get on board before our 2 Patreon exclusive live betcasts later this week. Make sure you check it out. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You've got 2 days left. Save 20% off on all things in the store. Just go to iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Click on the redeem button at the home page. Add any items you want to your cart, and 20% will be taken out at checkout. We've got everything full. All sizes are in stock right now. We've got some new items in the store as well. So definitely take advantage of that. 2 days left, 20% off. Don't miss out. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, yeah, make sure you check it out. Get the gear and the merch over at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, we got bargain bin special of the night and best bets to wrap up the show in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Hey, Ian, I got to tell you about this app I've been using lately called Kalshi. Kalshi.com. Did you know it's the only place where you can trade on March Madness in all 50 U.S. states?
I have heard about this, actually. Kalshi is the first and only legal prediction market that lets you trade on real-world events with the look and feel of stock trading, whether it's who will win elections, who will win the Grammy or Oscar awards, or what the price of Bitcoin will hit this year. You can bet you trade on just about anything on Kalshi.
With over 1 million users across all 50 states and over $1 billion worth of trades, Kalshi is an absolute game changer. And with March Madness coming to a close, baseball about to get in the full swing, playoffs on the horizon in hockey and basketball, now's the time to sign up to trade with Kalshi today.
Sign up at kalshi.com/iceguys, and the first 500 traders to join and trade 100 contracts, you will get a free $10 credit added to your account. So don't miss out on all the action. Join Kalshi today at kalshi.com/iceguys. That's kalshi.com/iceguys. History! History has been made in Long Island. Alexander Ovechkin, power play goal to make it 2-1. But who the fuck cares about the score? What we care about is he has broken Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record in the National Hockey League. The moment is upon us. Wow. And it's just, he did the dive. He did the old swan dive after scoring the goal. Absolutely incredible. Wow. He's done it. Which means bet the Islanders to score the next goal.
Yes, yes. Yeah, of course, we got a delay coming, but yeah, wow, what a shot to do it. What a moment. What a moment.
895 has arrived.
Wow.
Both benches emptied.
Yep.
They're showing the watch party back in DC. Now, for those of you who are not watching the game right now on TNT,
Mama Ovechkin there. Yep.
Yeah. How great. Yeah, the whole family, his kids, his wife there, all the suite. Yeah.
Wow.
I just had that feeling that, of course he's going to score against Sorokin. He knows that. I've never scored on this guy. This is the day to do it. And he just did. Wow. Patented power play goal from Ovi too. Yeah.
Newkirk is saying I never wanted him to break the record, to tell you the truth. But didn't he earn it? I think that all the people who are like, I don't know his season this year has been so phenomenal that even if you were, a big fan of hockey in the 80s and watch Gretzky, step up, you have to step back and respect what he has done this season. He's earned it. His goals per game is his highest in his career as a 4-year-old. We are so lucky that we've got to watch Ovechkin and Crosby throughout their whole careers. They're such class acts. They care so much about the sport, and we're just so lucky to watch them succeed. And shout out to Alexander Ovechkin.
I saw a stat, and then we've been seeing stats and numbers left and right the last couple of weeks, but I saw a number where it was, I think, 252 goals that Ovi had in the first 4 years of his career. And at this point now, I think it's 214 that he's had in the last 4 years. When you start talking about those kind of numbers, a guy who's possibly scoring at a better clip at the end of his career than the beginning of his career, this man broke his leg this season. Yeah. And now here he is with his 41st goal of the year and 895th goal in the regular season.
He's going to be fucking 40 years old later this year.
He's the greatest goal scorer in National Hockey League history, period.
Yeah.
He's the greatest goal scorer. Now, you can debate best player. There's a whole bunch of names. His name's in that conversation. But the greatest goal scorer in National Hockey League history, as of today, April 6, 2025, is Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah.
And Wayne Gretzky trying to put on the biggest smile, even though I'm sure inside there's a part of it. Come on, as a competitor, there's still, I can't believe my record's
He's got about 200 records he holds, so he's good.
You know Gretzky's 3 beers deep. He's 3 beers deep.
I saw him with the glass in hand, multiple times already on the broadcast here. So yeah,
he's beloved, Gretzky. Now I know Canada is just up fucking woke bullshit.
We won't get into the political shit with
but Gretzky is beloved by anyone who hangs out with him because he's always 3 or 4 beers deep and money in the bank and fun and he's I love Gretzky.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we'll move along. This is going to be a delay in this game for sure. Like
and everything live is locked.
Yeah, this is going to be like
for a while too. So
this could be a 20-minute delay. Like this is going to be not just some few minutes and we get on with the game. Like they're doing a fucking they're bringing the carpet out.
Bringing out it looks like the Stanley Cup ceremony. Like they're bringing out the rug and they got a mural and I guess there's going to be a speech now. Like the entire Islanders bench has emptied to shake hands with them as well.
Yeah.
Like
it's going to be a mid-game ceremony right now, and then we'll get back to playing the rest of the game after that. Which all the more reason to bet the Islanders if the line
Islanders next goal.
Yeah.
Maybe even Islanders puck line, but I definitely will be on the Islanders next goal as soon as the market opens back.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a great live betting spot because the Capitals. The focus for the Capitals today was all in on him getting the record.
Oh yeah.
Now that he's gotten the record, the game itself is the 2 points that are up for grabs are much more vital for the Islanders. So that Islanders next goal. They've already got Gretzky and Bettman on the ice now. They've rolled out the carpet. There's gonna be speeches, I'm sure, and. Wow, this is pretty crazy. This is, wow. It's pretty cool to see history, though. You don't get this kind of shit every day, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, or baseball.
No, you don't.
You don't get this kind of thing every day. It's pretty cool to see history. All right, we'll wrap this thing up. But before we do that, bargain bin special of the night. And, of course, I let Jimmy know that this is just a segment where we give out our favorite player prop of plus 300 or better. That's the bargain bin special, and it's incredible how many times we've had winners, and we've been able to cash with these throughout this year and last year when we did the segment for the first time. But Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night. What do you got?
So I'm going to do something I haven't done enough this year on the bargain bin special. I've had a player selected. I go with him as a bargain bin special. The guy has a good game but doesn't score a goal. That was Oliver Moore the other night. He had 2 assists. He was red hot. But just couldn't pop one in the back of the net. And it's interesting. There's a couple of books, notably BetMGM and FanDuel, don't even have him available as a goal-scoring prop today, even though he is on the third line centering it. You can get him, however, to score anytime goal plus 600 at DraftKings. So like that old Who song, won't be fooled again. We're going to go right back to Oliver Moore, the Chicago Blackhawks. Anytime goal scorer plus 600 at home against Pittsburgh tonight. That's my Sunday bargain bin special.
Back to the well with Oliver Moore, Chicago Blackhawks, for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. And again, with the what was the price on that?
Plus 600.
Plus 600. Yeah, really good price, no doubt. Jimmy, I left it up to you. If you wanted to get involved with the bargain bin special on that, is there anything you got, or do you want to pass? It's up to you.
I was upset that Kent Johnson was at plus 260 and didn't fill. I mean, I was surprised that he would be at plus 260. So. And I haven't bet this yet, and I don't mind. I don't mind putting $50 or so on this spot. And I'm about to give a player that has not scored a goal in 11 games. He scored 1 goal since. Good God! I mean, this is just horrific. He's not. He's just snake bit. And this guy has not scored 1 goal since. Fuck, Jesus! This is horrific. Since January 28th, 1 goal, and he's just snake bit. He's all around the net. He's playing on the first line. And how in the world could a guy who scored 1 goal since January 28th be plus 300? I think you should get a better number than this, but I watch him play, and I think that he's. Dust 10 says Kent Johnson's plus 300 at BetMGM, so it's at 365. It's plus 260.
If you want to use Kent Johnson, as long as it's plus 300 at one book, that's good enough. Yep. If you want to use Kent Johnson, you can.
Okay, then I will use Kent Johnson.
Yep.
I will use Kent Johnson because who I was about to say was Zach Benson. I think Zach Benson is so snake bit. He's playing on the first line. He's getting minutes. He's not listed on the top 2 power plays, but we see him come out and play power play time. I don't know why he's not listed on the top 2 power plays. But yes, Kent Johnson was whom I wanted to use today. So that's great. So thank you, Dustin. Kent Johnson. And then with the Bet365 numbers, I would have gone to Zach Benson, but I do prefer Kent Johnson. So thank you, Dustin. It is Kent Johnson for me of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
There you go. Kent Johnson, Columbus Blue Jackets, plus 300 for Jimmy the Bag with his bargain bin special of the night. His first ever bargain bin special of the night.
That's right.
The Ice Guys show. My bargain bin special, rather, it's from that same game. I mentioned it earlier, from the Columbus-Ottawa game, but it's a player on the other side. And we're going to go to that all of a sudden red-hot scoring defenseman that is Jake Sanderson, plus 510 for Jake Sanderson at Botano. He's on a 3-game goal-scoring streak. He is firing the puck a lot. Three straight games with a goal. He has been, and I think because of Tkachuk being out, he kind of sees that, hey, I got to fire the puck more and try to get more offense for my team. Jake Sanderson going for his 4th straight game with a goal, plus 510. What a great price. Jake Sanderson, Ottawa, for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we got Montreal taking on Nashville today, and it's hard to back Trashville with a lot of things, but when it's Jakob Dobush in net, we look for him to give up the first goal of the game. So we're going to go with the Preds to score the first goal of the game, minus $1.10. Now, I also am on first goal of the first period, plus 125. But for best bet purposes, we're just going with the first goal of the game overall, minus $1.10 on the Nashville Predators. That's my Sunday best bet.
All right, Nashville to score the first goal against Montreal for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. Jimmy, what a great debut on the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Your first best bet, what do you got?
I enjoyed it enormously. Honored to be a part of this storied show. Thank you guys for having me, and thank you for the chat. Giving such warmth. The best bet on the board for me today is the Columbus Blue Jackets first period. It's around between plus 125 and plus 135. I guess when it comes down to it, I'd like it just the tiniest bit more than the team total over 3 at plus 117. And that's even gone up. You can get plus 120, 125. Columbus Blue Jackets, first period, plus 125 for me, Bobano.
All right, Columbus, first period for Jimmy the Bag with his best bet for this Sunday edition of the show. And my best bet for this Sunday card, I'm just going to go to Pittsburgh, Chicago, over 6.5. I think that's just a goal-palooza waiting to happen, in my opinion. 2 teams out of the playoffs, Nedeljkovic and potentially Soderblom. And even if it is Knight, the defense has not been great, obviously, in front of Knight or any goaltender for Chicago this year. So I like goals in that game. Penguins, Blackhawks, over 6.5 for my best bet for this Sunday. Great stuff. Great show. Hope you all enjoyed it. Jimmy, like I said, any final thoughts, Jimmy, you want to say before we shut it down?
Just so thankful. Thank you, Alex and Bobano, for having me a part of the show. And thank you to these great cappers in the chat. We're always learning. We're always trying to get better and sharper, and our ROI to go up and our bankroll to grow. And this is the group to do it with. I look forward to being back again. So thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
Yeah.
No doubt. We'll get you back on for sure. And I already told Jimmy he's invited to all of our bet casts as well. Anytime you want
for sure.
For the bet. We're going to have a ton of them in the playoffs as well. Looking forward to those for sure. And speaking of the bet cast, we got 2 this week, Tuesday and Thursday, Patreon exclusive. So make sure you sign up, patreon.com/iceguys, to be with us for our 2 bet casts, Tuesday and Thursday, later this week. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Jimmy the Bag, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. History has been made. Yes. Alex Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. And we will see you tomorrow on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.